Everyone predicted Islamist forces would unite with the ultimate goal of the global caliphate. Since then, we've seen the Arab Spring lead to violent revolts with Islamist extremists taking control of the Middle East. The Muslim Brotherhood rise to power in Egypt with decisive parliamentary victories while aiming to instill Sharia law. The continued call for the obliteration of Israel, and the promise of a global caliphate. The threat of radical Islam is spreading. The global caliphate 1 year later. Warning. Tonight's show deals with the Islamic Caliphate and the uprisings in the Middle East. Extremely graphic content will be included in tonight's program. Viewer discretion is advised.
GBTV, the truth lives here.
It's been a year since the so-called glorious democratic uprising in the Middle East. And what you will not see tonight on mainstream media is any kind of coverage on exactly how that Arab Spring's working out for you, how it's panning out 12 months later. You won't see any of the mainstream media talk about how wonderful it is, because it's not. It didn't work out. You'd think that if it was so great that they would be pleased to show all the progress that is happening in the Middle East. You'll be lucky to see one story on it tonight, because the mainstream media knows that they were wrong. The media couldn't be more wrong about this. They celebrated the Arab Spring. They celebrated without question. They mocked even the hint of concern over radical Islam and those who seek to reestablish the caliphate, seizing power. This was the moment. This was the glorious moment, and damned if that moment was going to be wrecked by somebody who said, wait, caution. At the top of the show, we did tell you that you're going to see graphic images, but you're also going to see graphic images of stupidity. We wanted to start out in this hallway because this is where we keep all of our useless stuff. And I think after tonight's show, you're going to realize what you saw from the mainstream media is making them useless stuff. Here they are, a year ago today.
I can't explain to you what the mood is like here. It's indescribable. People are just crying with happiness. People are just ecstatic. They're doing cartwheels in the middle of the street.
It's a glorious revolution from that perspective. They've been very restrained, very committed to peaceful means.
The Arab Spring is a massive opportunity to spread peace, prosperity, democracy.
Peacefully, constructively, and in the spirit of unity that has defined these last few weeks.
American workers have been moved by the spirit and courage of the Egyptian people. We support your demands for freedom, social justice, and respect for human dignity.
We are seeing something that moves us as Americans.
I'm ecstatic. I'm 43 years old. This is the happiest moment
You're 43?
Joyful, ecstatic. I mean, it's bottom up. This wasn't orchestrated from the top. No artillery, no carpet bombing, no IEDs, unlike Iraq. No body counts. Just a remarkable, remarkable historic achievement.
What happened today was a win for America. So tonight, I believe our founding fathers are smiling down on the sons of freedom in Egypt, on a revolution well done.
Wow. Tonight, I'm going to give you the Arab Spring update. 1 year later, the update that the mainstream media will not give to you. And you'll see just how wrong they were and the horrors that are now going on in the Middle East. I think this is important to show you how ignorant they really are, but more importantly, how dangerous that ignorance really is, not just to the people in the Middle East, but also to you. The Arab Spring 1 year later, the update that the media just doesn't have the guts nor the brains to give to you. Next, in our planning studio. Come on. Well, hello, America, and welcome to the Glenn Beck program and to GBTV. The prediction that I made a year ago happened before Egypt fell. It happened when Tunisia fell. It was the prediction that was ruthlessly mocked, and I was called paranoid and conspiratorial. They dubbed it the Caliphate theory. That's fine. I don't really care. It's the only thing, the only thing that I have ever heard in my prayer time, quite honestly, to fall on your sword. That was the exact feeling I got, the impression I got. Fall on your sword. And that's why I originally put this up on the chalkboard. And then I said, we're going to make this and put it up on the wall. My staff was there. They thought I was crazy because they knew this was trouble. But they also have been with me long enough to know that we're usually right. And so I made this into the last 6 months of Fox. And I said it every day, and I showed this board every single day because it was important for people to remember what was said. I have to tell you, I'd rather be called a kook and be alive than close my eyes and cover my ears and la 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 and be dead. Tonight, I want to take you on a tour 1 year later of the Middle East, the Arab Spring, and so much more. And you will clearly see that democracy and liberty are not the same thing. And liberty is not blossoming. Democracy is. I'll show you what democracy looks like. Those who want to restore the Caliphate are blossoming. And since the media refuses to acknowledge the danger in a caliphate, they continue right along with this administration, referring to extremist caliphate-seeking groups as moderate Islamists. Let me tell you something. The media is not inept. They are not just careless and reckless. The media is dangerous. They have become a danger to the freedom and liberty of mankind, not just into the Middle East, but all over the world, including here at home. Tonight, I will show you what they have ignored, what they have failed to report, and the consequences of their arrogance, stupidity. I want you to understand this. If they are the ones who are wrong, it equals the death of freedom and oppression and the death of all those who fail to agree with the Islamists. That's what happens if they're wrong. You better make sure you're not wrong about that. They are not incompetent. They are a danger to people who yearn to be free. If I am wrong, well, then we're stuck with a memory of being really freaked out of our mind for a while. And we remember when we bought all that extra food? Yeah, that's what happens if I'm wrong. If they're wrong, people die. This is not hyperbole. There are actual examples of what happens to those who live under extreme Islamic rules, and what happens to those who live under Islamic rules and then live an alternative lifestyle. If you live an alternative lifestyle, you're dead. That's what happens to you. You're dead. That's not hyperbole. It's backed up with facts and photos. If you commit adultery, well, they stone you to death. You forget to wear your headscarf to school. Well, this is what happens to you. You forget to wear your headscarf in school, you are left in a burning building to die. In fact, you're not just left in the burning building. The fire department does show up, but they can't go in because you don't have your headscarf. And so they put a bar in the doors. Well, girls inside pound on the doors, beg to be let out. The Islamic police don't let them out, and they all burn to death. That's not hyperbole. That's a fact. Look it up. If you happen to dishonor the family by wearing a short skirt, or you have an American boyfriend, dead. You believe in Jesus and say, he's my Savior, dead. If you're waiting for the Messiah because Jesus isn't your Savior, you believe in the Old Testament, you're a Jew, you're dead. If you're a Jewish reporter, you're dead. If you're thought to be a Jewish reporter, well, first, they rape you. And then, if people aren't around you, you're dead. By the grace of God, she's alive today. because there were some decent people in the crowd. Just to give you an idea of how backward our mainstream media is, the protector of freedom, I want you to see this image. This is the image, do you have it? This is the image of the people who raped her. And CNN actually blurred the rapist's image, the faces of the dirtbags who raped her. Now, wow. If I'm wrong, you have too much food and people make fun of you. If they are wrong, people die. This is evil. This is evil. And if you see it and you do not raise your voice, you will be held responsible. What is rising in the Middle East? By ignoring it, excusing it, or worse, enabling it, you are part of it. The media and those in power in our own country have announced themselves as an enemy to man's freedom and liberty. How can I possibly say that? Well, it would be irresponsible if I couldn't back it up. But now, a year later, I certainly can. Look at what the glorious revolution looks like today. Look at what your media and your guardians have given you. And they certainly won't point this out to you. Let's start our tour. Last year, this all started not because of Egypt, but because of something that nobody paid attention to. A little country named Tunisia. There was a guy who set himself on fire because he was tired of the oppressive regime. It was a pretty amazing act. It was a horrific act. This guy, he was innocent, but he didn't know what else to do. He needed to get people's attention. I said, please watch out. This moment is going to be the Archduke Ferdinand moment, the moment that sets the whole world on fire. The president, after mocking me and his minions mocking me, called him Rosa Parks. Well, maybe Rosa Parks, I guess, was a hero and did something pretty frightening. I mean, he did something pretty frightening. He set himself on fire, so I don't see the Rosa Parks there. But also, Rosa Parks, what she did, her action, it led to a civil rights movement. It led to more freedom. In Tunisia, it didn't. In Tunisia, over the last 12 months, the radical Islamist party, the Muslim Brotherhood affiliate in Tunisia, won 40% of the vote in October elections. That is only 16% of the Tunisians registered to vote in that election. That's pretty great, isn't it? That's what democracy looks like. The man likely to be Tunisia's first prime minister recently said, and I quote, "My brothers, you are at a historic moment in a new cycle of civilization, God willing. We are in the 6th Caliphate, God willing." Tunisia, where it all began. The elections have further emboldened radicals. Radical Islamists have seized control of hundreds of mosques because they're not Islamic enough. They've taken over the prayer halls because they're not Islamic enough. Islamists have occupied a university and prevented the schools from taking any exams because the institutions say you don't have to wear the face veil. That's not Islamic enough. The state now launching a state-run Islamic channel to help people understand their religion. Oh. Poverty and unemployment rates are extremely high, and so are tensions. People are gearing up to do battle with the hardline Islamists. Who do you think will win? You think the hardline Islamists are going to back down? They're here to establish a caliphate. You might as well say it's a 1,000-year Reich. They have God and history on their side.